Welcome back to Culture and Peace. I have one last mini lecture to share with you to help you with your case study analysis and particularly recommended response. Let me turn to my PowerPoint lecture. I am asking you first to define violence and then to create what I call bully boundaries, because you will need to be asserting these boundaries and doing so in a consistent and equitable way if you are determined to create an actual culture of peace with a real world conflict that includes violence. It's very important for catalyzing change in a toxic, dark, troubled system, whether it's a community or an organization, a government agency, whatever it is, that everybody concerned with building a culture of peace talk about creating and asserting what I call bully boundaries. Now, this is my recommendation if you decide to go this direction with either your class case study or real-world peace building. I suggest, similar to what happened in Cameroon and in the Los Angeles high school that I just talked to you about, that you invite all the concerned people for at least a day-long time together to talk about the problems that are involved in your real-world concern. Now, I don't know if you're picking a school, if you're picking university education in the Middle East, if you're picking the West Bank, if you're picking your church. So I cannot give you the context of this, but I'm suggesting you bring together everyone concerned with the problems of whatever you are working with. So if you're doing something with majority and minority communities, you invite someone from all these communities together, and you take the time together to identify all the problems you are facing and brainstorm what you can do to create bully boundaries in the face of these problems. So you really are doing an inclusive process. It's similar to what you did with your cultural assessment activity, but you only did that for 4 hours. This is real world problems. Everybody gets a chance to share their experience and thoughts. You all agree to your list of problems, and then you take problem after problem and collectively brainstorm what you are going to agree to in terms of your boundaries response to these problems. Now, in one of my peace building situations, I have already introduced this to you. We had dramatic success very quickly. But this was adults and youth together, and all the adults were educated in how to help the youth respect the community's boundaries. And this, once again, was careful, effective, insightful listening and constant collaborative problem solving with the young people to help them live this culture of peace on a day-to-day level. Now, generally in peace building case studies, you will see an infusion of conflict resolution education. So what you are learning in your Peace Masters is spread throughout your communities. And then you must have impartial, fair leadership that hold everyone accountable, especially the adults, for creating a culture of peace, but also who asserts the agreed to boundaries constantly and consistently without bias or favoritism. It's a very extraordinary and rare situation, and you can imagine how it potently builds a culture of peace. Norway tried this on a nation-state level. Bullying is actually a group phenomena. It's never an individual. There's always a group that hides behind the bully, that prods them, encourages them, or is intimidated by them, whatever it is. Bullies could not survive without groups. And they're often, the most insecure youth who've grown up with family problems, violence. They would never be so bold acting alone. So they attempted bully boundaries throughout Norway, where all schools, where all communities serving and organizations serving youth agreed that bullying would not be tolerated, that boundaries would be asserted against it on a consistent basis, and they were able as a nation to dramatically reduce destructive dynamics. Now, bullies try to create a strong group through in-out-group dynamics. They will target and attack, scapegoat those who do not belong to the inner circle. They'll do it with much bravado. So some of what you're learning in this master's needs to be spread so that people understand how to confront and erode this destructive in-group, out-group dynamic. Now, the case studies that some of you are studying in my workbook show that power allies, whether they be lawyers or government officials, media, is also critical to catalyzing change, much like you've seen in studying nonviolence. All of this should help you with your real-world success. Good luck.